Every single thing that we have talked about for the past 30 episodes, rebellion season, um, the fear, the shame, the glass ceiling, the boundaries, the grief, the comparison trap, the inner critic, the um, money wounds, burnout, obedience, the story you're not telling. I feel like everything is connected to a single root. It's the same root. And I feel like it's one belief, one sentence running underneath everything else like a cracked foundation underneath this beautiful house. And the sentence is this: I am not worthy of the thing I want. I mean, would you ever say that out loud? I just feel like maybe you haven't, maybe you wouldn't, but I feel like it's there in the way, you undercharge for your work because something in you does not believe the full price is justified. In the way that you shrink in rooms where you're actually the most qualified person, in the way that you keep almost finishing the thing that would change everything and then stopping at 90% because completion makes it real, and real means it could fail. And if it fails, you will have proof of what you already suspect about yourself in the way you love other people loudly and love yourself like you are just an afterthought. Worthiness is the belief underneath the belief. It is the operating system that every other pattern runs on. And until you look at that, not around it, not through the lens of productivity or some framework, just or a morning routine or a rebrand, until you look at the worthiness wound itself, you are going to keep finding new and compelling, creative ways to stay exactly where you are while telling yourself and everyone around you that you're working on it. Um, you're not working on it. You're managing it. And managing is not the same as healing. And healing is not the same as building. And building is what you came here to do. Welcome to the Listen Bitch podcast. This is Rebellion Season, episode 31. If you have been here since the beginning, I know that something in you has shifted. I know that you've been naming things, that you've looked at things. You probably have had at least one moment in the car or in the shower, lying in bed when something just landed and you thought, I need to do something about that. And maybe you did. And maybe you filed it under, I will get to that. Let's put it on the future list. And maybe this is the episode where the filing system runs out of drawers. I'm Brandon Lynette, in case you're new here, your voice authority podcast coach. Your mess is your message. And today, the mess is the one that has been running everything quietly from the basement of every fucking belief that you have since before you were old enough to choose whether to believe it. Today's episode, you guys, is of course brought to you by Super Patch. Um, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can't really see it because of my tattoos, but I do have the beautiful Zen patch. You could barely see the little words in this little square that I'm showing you guys on camera. And if you want to see what it looks like and how tiny it is, then you guys actually have to go to my YouTube channel. This patch is great, and especially for an episode like this, not just for me to come here and to be able to spend this time with you and speak on where I'm led to speak and what I'm led to speak on. um this is going to ask you to get really uncomfortable today, to actually look at something. And for moments like this, moments when the nervous system wants to run or shut down, when your attention is actually needed, Zen is what I reach for. It gives me that mindful focus. It brings me to that present moment. It keeps my head clear. So like all the noise is quieted just enough that you actually can hear what's there. You guys, there's no drugs in this. There's no ingredients. It's zero ingredient. Vibrotactile technology. It's like Braille for your brain. It's telling your nervous system that it is safe to be still and see clearly. I do keep a link in the show notes. I talk about the one that my husband uses, the liberty and the freedom for pain. I have the peace and the zen. Those are my favorite. Um, So you guys will see that, the super patch link in there, okay? Get it before you need it, not after. And I feel like these, I wouldn't even call it a crutch. I'm just helping my body get back to its normal running system. But I've used this in the past, year of healing and healing my nervous system and growing through the relationships of adult kids and all of these things. So um, let's get back into this today. Worthiness. It's like the thing underneath everything, okay? It's not something you earn. And I really want you to let that settle in your soul. Worthiness is not something to earn. The lies that you've been living under says exactly the opposite. The lie is telling you worthiness is a destination, that you get there by achieving enough, by healing enough, by growing enough, by serving enough, being enough of whatever the measuring stick of the current fucking season says you should be more of. The lie says you are not there yet, but keep going, and eventually, you will have done enough to deserve the thing that you want. That is not how worthiness works. That's exhaustion, babe. That's how exhaustion works, okay? Worthiness is not earned, it's recognized. It already exists. It was placed in you before you did a single thing to justify it. Before your first achievement, before your first failure, before the season that you're most proud of, and before the season you're most ashamed of. It was there. It's there now. The work is not to build it, the work is to stop arguing with it. What? Yeah. You think I don't know you bitches argue for your limitations? You argue to stay stuck. You argue to feel miserable. You argue to stay just unhappy. You're doing that. But I want to talk about the brain because it makes this more than a motivational statement, okay? Your brain builds neuroscientists. It's a self concept, a neural model of who you are that it uses to filter every experience, every opportunity, every relationship, every piece of feedback you receive. And the self concept is built the same way. Every other neural structure is built through repetition, through the messages that came at you consistently, especially early, um, especially from people whose opinions your nervous system learned to weigh the most heavily. If the consistent message was you are capable, you are valued, you are seen, you're enough, the self concept that formed around those messages is one that expects worthy outcomes. Okay? That moves toward opportunity rather than away from it. That receives compliments without immediately disrupting them. That fails without concluding that failure is evidence of fundamental inadequacy. And if the consistent message was different, if it was subtle or overt, direct or atmospheric, spoken or just felt, the self concept that is formed is the one that filters every opportunity through the question, am I allowed to have this? And the answer, reliably, the answer automatically is not quite. And that self concept, you guys, is what I'm here to break through for you because it's not the truth. It's a neural model built from old data, and neural models can be updated. The brain changes with new input delivered consistently over time. That's the neuroplasticity that I've brought to you guys. It's not inspiration, it's the literal mechanism by which your brain physically rewires itself in response to repeated new experience. Every time you act from worthiness rather than from the wound, we'll call it the wound, every time you charge the full price, every time you take up that full space, every time you tell the full story and you make the full move, you're delivering new data to the model, and the model slowly, rep by rep, updates. So you're not stuck. You're just running that old programming. And old programs can be rewritten. That is scientific proof. There is evidence. If you need to see the proof and truth of that, then do your research. This is what got me obsessed about the brain and why I try to learn so much about it, because I got to bridge the gap between science and what God has done in our lives. And it is beautiful. The proof of how he made us so resilient to be able to change and evolve as we grow. I want to tell you about the worthiness trap that keeps the smartest, most self-aware, most genuinely growth-oriented people completely stuck. And I'm talking about you specifically. You've read the books, you've done the therapy, you've listened to the podcast, you understand the patterns. Um, you can explain your own wound with precision, and you've been explaining it for 3 years without actually moving. And the trap is this: understanding the wound is not the same as healing it, and healing it is not the same as building from it. I I'm speaking from experience. I did this. Okay. I got very good at the understanding part. I'm sure you can trace the worthiness wound back to its origin. You know which parent, which environment, which early experience installed the not enough program. You've processed it, you've journaled about it, you have cried about it in the right context with the right people. You've done really good work, but you're not moving because understanding is intellectual and the worthiness wound is not intellectual. It's neural. It's in the body. It is in the automatic response that fires before your conscious understanding can intervene. And it will keep firing until you give it new data through action, not more understanding, action. You have been gentle with yourself about this for long enough. And because I love you, the excuses you've been using, and you know what they are, you know the specific ones, the sophisticated ones, the ones that sound reasonable and responsible and mature. Those excuses are the wound's legal team. They're very good at their job. They have kept you safe and small and just functional enough not to have to make the move that would actually change things. And they're going to keep doing their job indefinitely unless you fire them. And the timing's never going to be right, bitch. Okay. You're never going to feel ready. The kids are always going to need something. The money is always going to feel not quite stable enough. The platform is always going to feel not quite big enough. The version of yourself you're waiting to become before you start is never going to show you up and tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, now you're ready. That's not how this shit works. And what's actually happening is that the worthiness wound is generating the feeling of not ready because it's trying to fucking protect you. It's trying to protect you. And protection mechanisms do not lift when the conditions improve. They lift when you move through them anyway. So get the fuck over it. And I mean that with everything in me and with zero cruelty. Get over the story that you're not enough yet. Get over the timeline that says later. Get over the sophisticated excuse that's just for wearing a responsible costume for your performance. The life you are describing when you talk about what you want, the podcast, the business, the impacts, the full expression of the calling, that life does not live on the other side of more preparation. It lives on the other side of the decision, and the decision is available right now. The food industry, okay, spent decades and billions of dollars engineering products specifically designed to make you feel bad about yourself so that you would buy the solution. The beauty industry built an entire economy on manufacturing insecurity. You want to know what kind of teams they put in on this? Okay, they've got you, bitch. Pharmaceutical industry profits when your nervous system is so dysregulated from accumulated unworthiness that you need medication to function. And the media saturates you with images of who you should be that are specifically calibrated to make you feel not quite there yet. None of this is accidental. An insecure population is a spending population. A population that does not feel worthy keeps looking for the product that will make them worthy. And they keep buying it. And it keeps not working. Because worthiness was never for sale. It was never the product. It was the thing they needed you to not have so you would keep buying these empty ass substitutes. Stop buying the fucking substitute. You're worthy now, not after the next thing, now. And there is, I'll tell you guys about this very specific flavor of unworthiness that I carried. And it's not even a confession for its own sake. It's just I want you to understand because I know you have a version of this and I want you to see it in mine so you can name yours. Because mine look like conditional worthiness, not worthiness at all, like conditional. The version that says I'm worthy when I'm performing well, when the results are visible, when people are affirming the work, when the evidence supports the conclusion. That version of worthiness is very seductive because it feels like a reasonable position. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating at all. I'm just being honest about where I'm at. It feels humble, it feels mature, and it is the most exhausting way to live because conditional worthiness means that You are only ever one bad result away from the conclusion that you were never worthy to begin with. It means every success is a temporary reprieve and every failure is potential confirmation. It means that I can't rest inside any achievement because the worthiness that achievement produced is already the beginning to decay the moment the achievement is passed. I need the next one and the next one and the next one. And it's not because I'm ambitious, it's because I'm running from the conclusion that is always one step behind me. I've spent years on that treadmill, building things, achieving things, receiving affirmation, feeling temporarily worthy, needing more information, building more things. And the treadmill does not have a finish line, it just has a speed setting. And the speed kept increasing. The burnout I explained in a previous episode was not a metaphor, it was a lived experience. The treadmill stopped, and it's not because I chose, it's because my body stopped it. And in the stillness of that stopping, that was forced. In a very uncomfortable way, I had to sit with the question I'd been out running. And it's not, am I performing well enough, but am I worthy regardless of the performance? And the honest answer, the one I had to find my way to through a lot of resistance, was yes. And it's not because of anything I had done, but because of whose I am. Because of what God says about me. And his voice doesn't change based on the quarter's results. This is not a one-time revelation. It's a daily practice. And I'm still building the neural pathway that makes worthiness unconditional rather than conditional. And so many days, especially lately, this old programming fires anyway. And some days the wound has an opinion about the project I just launched, or, you know, the episode I just recorded, or the risk I just took. And those days I do the thing that we talked about in my last show. I name it, I look at it, and then I choose the truth over the old programming. And it's not because I've arrived, but it's because I know the direction now. I know the direction, and I know the rep is the thing that builds the pathway, and the pathway is the thing that eventually makes the truth louder than the lie. That's the work. It's not fucking glamorous, bitch. It is not sexy. It does not make a good reel. Okay, it doesn't even make a good Facebook post, but it is the only work that actually changes everything at the foundation. And this struggle, okay, it's going to show up in reflect in the shit that you do, like the prices you charge. If you're undercharging, and you know if you're undercharging, the gap between what you charge and what your work is worth is the exact size of your worthiness wound. It's not the market, it's not the competition, it's the wound, because a person who knows that they are worthy charges accordingly and holds the number when someone pushes back. And a person, running the not enough program, finds 1,000 reasonable sounding reasons why the lower number is actually the right number. It shows up in relationships that you just accept. The person who does not feel worthy of being fully loved will almost always find a way in a relationship where they have to earn it. That's it. Where the love is conditional on their performance, where there is always something slightly withheld, because that gap, the familiar, uncomfortable working for a gap, matches the self concept. And the brain, babe, in its loyalty to the model it has built, prefers that familiar discomfort to unfamiliar wholeness. It's going to show up in the way you receive, the compliments that you deflect, the help you refuse. That's a big one for me. The recognition that you minimize. Again, the celebration you cut short because sitting in the goodness of what you built feels uncomfortable in a way that you just can't sit with it. And the discomfort is the worthiness wound rejecting data that contradicts that model. Your brain is literally filtering out evidence of your worth to preserve the consistency of the self concept. Every time you let it, every time you deflect the compliment, instead of just saying thank you and meaning it, you confirm the model instead of updating it. For a brain that processes everything more intensely, okay, the one that feels the unworthiness more loudly, that kind of carries the not enough message with more vividness and more persistence than people around them seem to do, this is where the intensity becomes the asset. Because that same brain, when it catches a moment of genuine worthiness, when something lands and the self concept lets a true thing in, you experience that truth with the same amplitude it experiences everything else fully. Like you feel it physically. If your brain is like mine, it's physically in the body as well as the mind. And those moments of fully received truth are the most powerful data inputs the brain can get for updating that version, the model, your self concept. You do not need 100 average moments of feeling worthy. You need 10 fully received, not deflected, sat in, and allowed moments because your brain processes them at in 10 times the depth. Stop deflecting. Let the good shit land. Okay? Your brain needs the data. And real quick, okay, I need you guys to pause right here. If something in the last few minutes hit that place in your chest that has been, or you're feeling it in your running program, the place that's been running things for a long time, please send this to one person. Not later, right now. Just share out the show really fast. The person you know who is sitting in the not enough story and does not have the language for it yet. They need this. Make sure you subscribe and please leave a written review. It takes a little bit of time, and that's how the show gets in front of people. Okay. And this is the thing that I want to say about worthiness. The enemy does not fight hardest against the things that do not matter. He fights the hardest against the things that do. And if you've been in a sustained battle with your own sense of worth, if the not enough message has been loud and persistent and returning even after you've dealt with it, that is not random. That is targeted. That is opposition proportional to the threat you represent when you actually believe you're worthy of the calling. A person who does not feel worthy stays in the preparation phase forever. Is that you? You keep developing, you keep consuming, you keep almost launching. You're completely preoccupied with your own inadequacy and therefore completely unavailable to the people you were made to reach. The enemy does not need to stop you dramatically. He doesn't. He just needs to keep you in the worthiness argument with yourself indefinitely. And if the argument is compelling enough, and it usually is because it's built from real experience and real pain and real evidence, you will run it yourself without any help. Stop running it. Jesus did not spend his ministry arguing with his own worthiness. He knew who he was and whose he was and what he was here to do. Not arrogantly, but rooted from the deepest possible certainty about his identity. Not a certainty he earned either, a certainty he received from his Father. You are my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. That was spoken over him before he had done a single miracle. Before the ministry even started, before the proof was in, the Father declared his worth before the performance began. And the same voice, the same Father has declared yours. Before the results, before the launch, before the healing, it's a complete gap that is closed. And the version of yourself you are working toward arrives right now in the middle of the mess, in the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. You are worthy already. Our Father said so, and his opinion does not change based on the quarter's results. I need you to build from that, not towards it, but from that. And the first, I want you to find the one place you are undervaluing yourself right now, and I want you to correct it this week. Not eventually. This doesn't get put on a sure, I'll check that out next week. Don't just save the show to listen to it and then forget about it. Like, actually put this into action this week. Maybe it's a price that needs to go up. Maybe it's an opportunity you've not been pursuing because something in you does not believe it's available to you. The conversation you've been not having because you do not feel qualified to have it. Pick one specific thing and do the worthy version of it. Not the wound version, the worthy version, because the brain updates through action, and you've been thinking about this long enough, haven't you? And then I want you to practice receiving. Today, when someone says something good about your work, about who you are, about what you bring, do not deflect it. Do not minimize it. Do not immediately redirect it. Just fucking say thank you and mean it. Let it land. Stay in the discomfort of the good thing for 5 seconds before you do anything else. 5 seconds of not arguing with someone and their positive assessment of you. That's the rep. That's the data input that your brain needs. Do it every time the opportunity presents itself today. And I want you to write one sentence that is the true thing. The true thing about your worth that is not conditional on your performance. The sentence that is true on the best day and the worst day. The one that does not change based on what you produce or what you receive or what anyone says about you. I want you to write it and I want you to put it somewhere you see it first thing in the morning. And not as decoration, but I want this to be like instruction to your brain about what evidence to look for today, because the brain finds exactly what it's looking for every single time. And if the instruction is, I am worthy of the life I am building, it's going to start finding evidence of that every single day. So build the pathway, update the model one morning at a time. This is foundational. The belief underneath every other belief, the wound underneath every other wound. The thing that when you actually deal with this, not manage it, when you actually deal with it, it's going to reorganize everything above it and stuff starts clicking. You are worthy of the podcast. You are worthy of the business. You are worthy of the relationship that loves you without condition. You are worthy of the body that is cared for like it matters. You are worthy of the calling. You are worthy of the life that is fully unapologetically without constant justification yours. Not because of what you have done, but because of who made you and what he said about you before you did any of it. The excuses are done. The not yet, done. Waiting to feel worthy before you act worthy, done. Worthiness is not the destination, it is the starting point. Act from it right now, today, with whatever is in front of you. Get the fuck over the story that you're not enough. You always were, you always will be, and the world is waiting for the version of you who finally believes it. If this episode hit the thing, the real thing, please like the show, subscribe, leave a review. Head to brandonlynette.com. Get on my list. Please watch the full episodes on YouTube, okay? Get my Zen patch from Super Patch. You are going to thank me for this, and you're going to say, why have you been talking about this every day? First of all, because the patch is new. Yes, Peace Patch. I've talked about that enough that y'all should have that. But yeah, check the show notes. See how you can work with me. I have an incredible group on Facebook. It is free. Okay, it is free. I've got a podcast. I want you to come on and tell your story. Again, it's free. I don't gatekeep. I tell all the secrets you want to show. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay. But for now, I just want you to know that you're enough right now, and it's time you start acting like it.